Welcome back to the Arboretum, everybody. It's me, Arcane, and I'm here today with the May development log update for SachiKaze. Let's dive right into it. In May, my main focus was to bring SachiKaze movements to life with animation. I wanted to implement basic animations for her entire starting moveset, minus a few special cases like her attacks, which would require a bit more coding implementation work first. I wasn't focused so much on getting the animations perfect as I was on just getting something working. That time for refinement can come later when I have a basic vertical slice of the game done and I'm working on polishing up all the components of the game. For now, I just wanted to learn how to animate, how to get a character in Unreal Engine moving, and to make animations that roughly reflected those movements that you were performing in game. In order to do this, I had to re-rig my entire character, adjusting the skeleton several times over as I put together an Unreal Engine control rig for the mesh. I started that process by trying to use the new Unreal Engine 5.4 modular control rigs, but since my character's skeleton didn't match the default mannequin skeleton, and because I'd never put a control rig together traditionally, it didn't really work, and I had no idea what I was doing. I banged my head on the wall for this for, I don't know, about 2 weeks, until finally I was able to get a basic control rig working by ditching the idea of the modular control rig and just setting one up manually. This was a lot of extra work, and it made me realize a lot of the deficiencies in my original model and skeleton in Blender. For example, my topology doesn't really allow for some of the joints to bend properly, so they stretch a little weirdly when animated. And some of the bones, noticeably in the fingers, were not consistent with their roll and rotation angles, so when I tried to rig them in Unreal Engine, they would bend in weird ways and not bend, the way a finger does. Creating controls for all these individual components was a lot more difficult than it had to be because I didn't know what I was doing when I created the original skeleton and model. If I had had more awareness of how these things affect the animation, I probably could have saved myself a lot of work here, but it's just one of those growing pains, and now I know for the next time when I create another model in the future. It'll help me out a lot. Eventually, I had a control rig where I could quickly animate various components of the model. Placing the foot would adjust the knee in line, moving the head was as simple as placing a target point for it to look towards, and bending the fingers was as much as just moving a slider back and forth to control the degree of the bend. Once the control rig was done, I set about learning how to create animation sequences from it, and how to put those sequences onto my character. I created animations for idling, which is just watching the character breathe while standing still, and I say breathe in air quotes. Tiptoeing for when they're walking really slowly along the ground. Walking at a standard rate, running for when you're moving fast, jumping and falling for after you're done jumping and you've reached the height of your jump, or, just walking off a ledge without jumping first, crouching, crouch walking because you still have a little bit of movement speed during the crouch, and crouch sliding for when you start a crouch while moving quickly, and then slide jumping for when you jump out of a crouch slide. None of these animations are perfect by any means, and they'll all need some touch-ups later in the development process for sure, but they'll do for now as I make a vertical slice of the game to play and experiment with. Notably, I removed the concepts of quick turning and side flipping from the build going forwards. As I animated them and played around with it, I realized that they were, while interesting in theory, just making the controls of the game more clunky and frustrating, and the game would ultimately be better off without them. I think May was a rousing success on the development side for SachiKaze. It wasn't without its challenges, that's for sure, but the learning experience has been speeding up considerably, and I'm starting to get better and quicker at picking up new ideas in Unreal Engine. If you watched my last devlog, you might notice that there's one move I mentioned there that I haven't discussed yet here. Fawn's Leap. Partway through this month, I realized that to animate Fawn's Leap the way I really wanted, which would include transforming SachiKaze's legs into deer-like appendages, and bending the bones backwards to exaggerate the height of the jump, like a high leaping deer. I would need some extra modeling for the new legs. I would need to do that in Blender and figure out how to spawn those in during the animation of the move. I don't want them to be there always, but I need to figure out how to make them there when you're doing the fawn's leap. This felt a little out of scope for my current phase of learning, which was just focused on getting the character rigged and animated. And so I set that animation aside for May. And that brings me straight into my goals for June. For June, I'd like to animate the fawn's leap more, including the extra model of the deer legs. And I want to learn how to spawn additional meshes in on demand for animations, as that's going to be important for future moves in SachiKaze's moveset, like the monkey's climb and swing and the vine whip. For June, though, I'm going to focus only on getting fawn's leap up and going. I know this might not seem like a lot of progress for a whole month, but that's because I'm doing most of this project in my free time, and I have some personal projects and goals for June as well. On that note, I'm going to start focusing a lot more on my diet and exercise starting this coming month. I've been enjoying my time at the rock climbing gym and karate a lot, and I've started to notice that my strength and weight are holding me back in both cases. I'm tired of feeling like a big, overweight, out of shape guy at both locations. So I'm going to be hitting my diet hard and getting in as much exercise as I can, which will take a lot of time away from my SachiKaze development project. However, I'm going to keep working on it. Don't worry about that. The game is really important to me, and I definitely want to see it through. Progress just might be a little bit slower, as I've got 100 pounds to lose, and I'm trying to hit the ground running on that. I'd like to lose 5 pounds at least in June. I'm starting today at 275 pounds flat. I'd like to get under 270 by the end of June, and an eventual goal of being under 180 pounds by the end of December 2025. Slow and steady is going to win that race, so while I will be pushing hard, I'm going to be careful not to overdo it, but don't worry about my health. I'm on top of it. I will manage to lose the weight. I've also been enjoying some other hobbies a lot this past month, including I've been getting very excited about a new Call of Cthulhu campaign I've got in the works, which might actually wind up showing a little bit off of that on this channel, actually. I've also been practicing piano a lot more lately, to the point I've learned 4 songs so far out of my Bach practice books, along with other exercises that are helping to strengthen my technique and return a lot of my childhood experience with that instrument. In fact, all the music that you heard throughout this video was actually played by me. Well, that wraps up what I have for May for my devlog. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Keep notified for any of my future updates. Bye-bye!